Welcome back to another movie review. This is Josh from Josh Does Movies, and today we're going to be talking about my first film that I've seen that has debuted in 2022, the brand new Scream movie, Scream 5, or as they're calling it, just Scream. Um, just out of the theaters, finally just hit home, ready to talk about this. This was my first Scream movie in theaters ever. Honestly, one of the I haven't really ever watched this franchise until this piqued my interest with these trailers, and I'm gonna be here to break down the things I like about the movie, the things I didn't like about the movie, its strengths, its weaknesses, who I think this movie would be great for, who probably won't want to watch this movie. I'm gonna break that all down here. So hey, thank you for stopping on in. Sit back, relax, and let's go talk about Scream. So, Scream is one of these cool little slasher franchises that is very, very meta. It definitely, going through and rewatching Screams 1 through 4 leading up to this movie, I never realized just how inside baseball and how meta that Scream always was. The first movie was very interesting, I thought, in slasher style film. The concept of a killer calling you on a phone back then was just a very kind of groundbreaking and new. Maybe it wasn't, I don't know, but when I think of a movie that does that, Scream is the one that comes to mind. And this movie kind of picks up a lot like any other Scream movie does with a great opening sequence. This is where we meet Tara Carpenter, who's played by Jenna Ortega, and one of it might not be my favorite opening sequence of a Scream movie that I've seen, but I loved how they basically used this as an opportunity to modernize what the capabilities of a killer could or could not do. Having Tara try and use an app to secure the house, and the killer taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, putting it on. The texting, mechanism, which I honestly wish we did a little bit more of. I really like the idea of the killer, using somebody else's phone to text and haunt her. Um, instead of it just being the straight phone call question. Um, it was a great scene. I have to say, Jenna Ortega was probably one of my biggest surprises coming out of this movie, just from that first scene alone. It was a great start to the movie. Um, gets you right into it. You know exactly that it's going to be. It's 2022. They can get away with a lot more blood and a lot more of a little bit like gore style to it, and not in an overextended bad way. This isn't like a Saw movie or anything where they're really trying to make you uncomfortable and horrible through gore. But they aren't afraid to really make the characters get bloody when they're trying to get away from the ghost face killer. Um, Now, wouldn't be any Scream movie without talking about the three main characters that have been here since the beginning. You have David Arquette back as Dewey Riley. You have Nev Campbell back as the first female final girl of the series, Sydney Prescott. Courtney Cox is back as Gail Weathers. And while all three are in here to play some type of a role, it's David Arquette's Dewey that takes front stage of the old characters, as he is really the only one that stays in Woodsboro. I apologize. Where you have the killings take place. All three did pretty well. I really like David Arquette's performance in this. I think if you're a fan of the originals, they do a really good job highlighting Dewey. Some people might get upset with Sydney Prescott and Gail Weathers having more of a minor role, but that was because they really let this young cast take over and lead this film, which I kind of liked because in a way we didn't need to see these characters come back as adults and do the same thing as we've seen in Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 3, and Scream 4. Did they have a couple little quips of dialogue that was guidance? Yes, but we didn't need them to actually have just the same movie with them over again. The main characters that you're going to see is is Samantha Carpenter, Sam Carpenter, played by Melissa Barrera. She is the Tara Carpenter's sister who we saw in the opening sequence. And there's some interesting things about her character, where she is and where she isn't. She definitely portrays off a very good kind of main center stage individual in the movie. Her boyfriend, played by Jack Quaid, which you probably know from The Boys, Richard Richie Kirsch. He was a great add-on, as the boyfriend's supportive. I thought he played his role very well. I love Jack Quaid. Anytime you can get him in more projects, I think after The Boys came out, people are realizing how good of an actor he is. He definitely has a good future. The people that probably surprised me the most, though, were there's these two twins in the movies. Chad Meeks Martin, who was played by Mason Gooding, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son, and Mindy Meeks Martin, who's played by Jasmine Savoy Brown. And I'll be honest, Jasmine Savoy Brown as Mindy, I feel really stole the show for me. She played that role of like the knowledgeable nerd meta commentator on all of these slasher stereotypes and franchises and stuff like that. Um, and her character came off as believable, but not too much of an archetype, which I don't think happened to a lot of other characters. In this group of friends, we have Tara's best friend Amber, who is played by Mikey Madison, and she plays a good role, but she never really gets past that best friend trope in a lot of places. Other people that are in this friends group is gonna be, trying to think who else. Dylan Minnette played Wes Hicks, and we have Sonia Ben Amar playing Liv McKenzie. Cool callback. With Dylan, with Wes Hicks being the son of Judy Hicks, who's now the sheriff of Woodsboro. I thought that was pretty awesome and pretty cool. And you kind of get that core teenage friend group again, and the story does a really good job trying to have you figure out who might be the killer, who might not be the killer. In the areas where this movie is best, it's whenever you have potential killings happen. The direction of this movie was so well done when it came to just handling how or who these things are going to, where is Ghostface going to be? Is he around this corner? Is he not? There's one scene with a character where they're just going through the house, and the way the music is done, the music by Brian Taylor, and the direction by Matt Bentony, Olpen, and Tyler Gillette were just so good. Of every corner, you're like, he could be there. He's probably not there. Is he there? Oh my gosh, I think he's here. No, he isn't. Or is he? And then that sequence is one of the best I've ever felt in terms of like suspenseful. In recent years, the only thing I can kind of compare it to is A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place 2. Whenever when you hear a little sound and you just, your heart just drops. And I think that's what the Scream 5 does the best, is whenever it's building suspense and you're waiting to know when is Ghostface going to strike. Now, there were some detractors in this movie for me that keeps it from being what I would consider a great overall movie. The first thing is, I think the acting, and it might be intended because obviously Scream's more of a meta movie. It doesn't want to be super serious. It's not looking to be the Academy Award winning movie coming out. But there were some acting moments and some writing moments that were like kind of eye rolly, where it's like, I don't know if we need these lines. I don't think you're really building up your characters or anything. If anything, you're making me feel like this is a meh movie. But definitely halfway through, once we get started picking up on more of those, horror and just thriller style moments, do those kind of other things go and fade in the back, and we really get a really strong style movie here. The other criticism I would give it is just that it just felt very retread, and there was a lot of meta commentary. And I know that's part of the point of Scream, and I get that, but there were some points where I'm like, okay, this is just like, you're commenting on prequels and sequels and requels and stuff like that, in some ways it does it very very well. But at some points I was kind of feeling like I did during the Matrix, where I'm like, are you wanting to make this movie? Are you like begrudgingly making this movie? I mean, I think clearly by the end, you know that the directors and the writers and everybody on the staff wanted to make this movie. But there was a point in the first third where I was like, okay, we're hitting near Matrix 4 territory where, you know, I'm questioning if a director is going to want to make this movie or not. Should it be made as a studio forcing it? But I think it comes around and has a really great commentary on the idea of these franchise movies and what it can turn things to, and the idea of keeping things the same. It is as a positive and a negative in a lot of different lights. I think this one shows if keeping the formula similar in some ways can lead to a really good movie. I would put this ranked second in my Scream list, only behind the original. But it also shows how keeping yourself in that box can lead to some very negative behaviors and really creates huge issues on the outside world. So I think the movie actually did a really good job telling its story that way and really leaving and making a point. When it comes to who I'd recommend Scream for, anybody who likes a thriller movie, anybody who likes suspense movies, if you're looking for just a good time to go out to the movies and just kind of, just feel excited and to have your heart racing, Scream 5 is going to be perfect for you. If you're somebody who doesn't like blood that much, if you're not a big horror fan, you're not looking to kind of have that suspense, if you're really looking for, a hard plot driven movie with some good quality acting, Scream might not be for you. I still think the story comes across with the plot very well, and I think it does say a lot, and it gives a very good message, and I think it gives a well thought out message. But I definitely think the first half of the movie, if you're really looking for something deep and you're looking for really top level acting, Scream's going to pull you out of it, and it's going to take a lot of work to get you back in to buy into that ending without rolling your eyes at some points. I personally like Scream. I'm very impressed with what it was able to do. One of the things I'm going to be doing here this year as I break down movie by movie for movies that come out in 2022 is I'm going to leave off a top 10 ranking list as we go. Scream being the first movie in that list means this: Scream 5 at this moment is my top movie of 2022. It's also my lowest movie of 2022, but something tells me it might not end in either of those positions. This was probably a solid B plus movie for me, maybe closer to the B minus range. I thought it, like I said, the fact like the actual plot and what I can tell the directors and writers wanted to really comment on at the end and throughout the movie, I think is a really smart, good message. But I can't get past some of that early acting and some of the early just badly written parts that were kind of cliche in a very not so great way, to where I didn't think they added to the movie is what keeps it down. But we'll see how this goes. Movies on my list to watch now in 2022 that I need to come catch up on is I need to catch up on the 355. I don't think we're going to see that movie beat Scream, so I think Scream is going to hold the top spot there. There's a Japanese anime movie came out, Belle. It's in theaters here locally. It has really good reviews, limited, but really good reviews. I want to give that one a chance. Death on the Nile is one I keep seeing in the theaters when I go. I think that's going to be a very good movie. Marry Me is actually one, but with Owen Wilson and, gosh, I forget her actress's name, the singer's name, Jennifer Lopez. I haven't seen any type of marketing for it outside of the movie theater, but it looks like a little fun concept, a little fun love story concept that I really, it's not original per se, but I kind of like the idea of it, and it doesn't look like a bad movie. So there's definitely more movies coming out here the next few weeks. As the months go by, we'll see how this list goes. Thank you for stopping by. Tell me your thoughts on Scream 5. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you want to see it? What are some things you want to see maybe from future Screams? Do you think this should be the end of the franchise? How do you feel like they handle all the returning characters? If you like this kind of review Please leave a like, leave a comment. If you want to see more reviews like this, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to try to give out another review here in the next couple days. Try to do one or two a week. And we'll go on this journey of 2022 movie going together. Until then, though, I hope you guys all have a good evening, good day, wherever you're at. I'll see you next time. Bye.